All right, Raiders Nation, let's talk real for a second, because I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or just admit that this team is driving me absolutely out of my mind. You ever wake up on a Sunday morning, look in the mirror, and say, why do I still believe? That's me every single week with the Las Vegas Raiders. I tell myself not to get my hopes up, not to buy into it again, and then somehow, someway, this team gives me just enough of a spark to keep believing. Maybe it's madness. Maybe it's loyalty. Maybe it's just being a true Raider. I mean, think about it. We're coming out of a bye week that honestly could not have been timed better. Not just because the first half of the season was rough, but because this squad needed a complete mental reset. The energy, the health, the focus, it was all slipping. And now, for the first time in a long time, it feels like some of those dark clouds are starting to clear. Guys are getting healthy. Brock Bowers is finally back to full strength, moving like the beast we all know he can be. Max is looking more explosive. Even the little nagging injuries that were slowing down players like Isaiah Polamau seem to be in the rear view. You can tell this team used to break not just to rest their bodies, but to hit that mental refresh button that every athlete needs. And let's be honest, when you're losing close games, when you're battling through weeks of frustration, sometimes you don't just need a new playbook, you need to breathe. You need to remember why you love the game. I can't tell you how many times after a brutal loss I just sit down, grab a drink, hang out with my dog, and think, man, what is it going to take for this team to finally turn the corner? And that's what this bye week felt like, a collective exhale for the entire organization. A moment to reset before the next battle. Now, here's where things start to get interesting. The Raiders have some real reasons to give fans hope heading into this next stretch of the season. One of the biggest is the return of Lonnie Johnson Jr. This is a player who, from the beginning of the offseason, was expected to be a key piece in the secondary. We haven't even seen what he can really bring to this defense yet. He's the kind of guy who adds both depth and flexibility, and right now that's exactly what this defense needs. When you're sitting near the bottom of the league in sub-package usage, you need players who can come in, bring energy, and give coordinators more options. Lonnie isn't going to transform the defense overnight, but his presence gives Patrick Graham a few more chess pieces to move around. And speaking of adjustments, this is the biggest test for this coaching staff. It's one thing to talk about improving during the bye, but it's another to actually come out and show that you've learned from your mistakes. The Raiders' defensive schemes have been predictable at times. Too much of the same coverage, too heavy in the box, too easy for opposing coordinators to read. That has to change, and adding a guy like Johnson gives you a chance to switch things up, show new looks, disguise pressure. Fresh legs can change the tone of a defense more than people realize. Now, I know some fans are still skeptical, and I get it. Every year we go through the same cycle. Hope, heartbreak, repeat. But maybe this time the stars are actually aligning a little bit. Because not only are the Raiders getting healthy, but the rest of the AFC West is dealing with problems of their own. The Denver Broncos just lost their top cornerback, Patrick Surtain, for several weeks. That's massive. That completely changes the way opposing teams can attack their defense. If things go the way they're expected to, there's a very real chance Surtain could miss both matchups against the Raiders. And call me crazy, but that's the kind of small break that can shift momentum in a tight divisional race. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, here we go again, hear me out. The Raiders actually showed this by week that they're not ready to give up. They're making moves that scream, win now, not start over. You go out and trade for a player like Tyler Lockett. That's not a rebuild move. That's a statement. That's a message to the locker room saying, we still believe in this group. Lockett might not be the biggest or flashiest addition, but his chemistry with Geno Smith could be exactly what this offense has been missing. When you look at the Raiders' struggles on offense, barely scoring over 14 points per game, it's clear that this team needs a rhythm, a connection, something to spark confidence. And having a reliable veteran like Lockett could help unlock that. Let's not forget, Geno Smith has looked lost at times this year. The interceptions are piling up. He's tied for the league lead in that category, and a lot of that comes down to comfort. When a quarterback doesn't have a go-to guy he trusts completely, he forces throws. He second-guesses reads. But when Geno had Lockett back in Seattle, his numbers were night and day better. More yards, fewer interceptions, higher quarterback rating. The proof is right there. So even if it sounds a bit crazy, maybe bringing in a familiar face could reignite that confidence. And when Geno gets comfortable, everything else opens up. That means more opportunities for Jacoby Myers, more space for Trey Tucker, and most importantly, more touches for a healthy Brock Bowers. This offense has been searching for balance all year. If the Raiders can get their passing game rolling, suddenly Josh Jacobs, or whoever's in that backfield rotation, starts finding lanes again. That's when this team looks like it can actually compete with anybody. I know I sound like a broken record saying I still have hope, but maybe that's what being a Raiders fan is all about. It's the ability to stare down years of disappointment and still believe that something good is around the corner. Because, let's face it, when you put on that silver and black, you're signing up for more than just football. You're signing up for the fight. And right now, this team still looks like it's got some fight left in it. I'm not saying it's all sunshine and touchdowns from here on out. There are still plenty of issues to fix: protection breakdowns, missed tackles, red zone struggles. But if there was ever a moment for this team to find itself, it's now. The bye week brought rest, recovery, and maybe even a little bit of reflection. And if the Raiders can come out of it firing, with adjustments on both sides of the ball and a little more fire in their eyes, this season isn't over yet. Maybe it's insanity. Maybe it's blind faith. But I can't shake the feeling that something's brewing in Las Vegas. Maybe it's just the calm before the storm. Maybe it's the start of a run that nobody saw coming. Whatever it is, I'm here for it. Because that's what being part of Raider Nation is. You never stop believing, no matter how many times you're told not to. So here we are, standing on the edge of what could either be the start of a turnaround or just another chapter in the long, exhausting book of heartbreak for the Raiders. But this time feels different. Maybe it's because of how this team responded during the bye week. Maybe it's because, for once, it seems like the locker room is united, focused, and actually tired of losing. There's a sense of urgency that hasn't been there in past years, a feeling that this group understands the stakes. You can see it in the body language of the players during practice. You can hear it in the tone of their interviews. It's not about excuses anymore. It's about accountability. And that's the first real step to change. It's easy to talk about adjustments. It's easy to say you're learning from mistakes. But this team, for the first time in a while, seems ready to prove it. The message from the staff has been clear: execution over everything. It doesn't matter how flashy your game plan looks on paper if the fundamentals aren't there. That's been the Raiders' Achilles heel for far too long. Missed tackles, blown assignments, mental lapses at key moments. You clean that up, and suddenly you're in every single game. The upcoming matchup against Jacksonville feels like a perfect test. It's not an unbeatable opponent, but it's one that demands respect. The Jaguars are physical, fast, and well-coached. If the Raiders can go into that game and set the tone early, control the tempo, and show they can execute under pressure, that's when fans will start to believe again. It's not about blowing out opponents. It's about fighting for every inch, every down, every possession. That's what real progress looks like. Another thing that gives me a bit of confidence is the leadership starting to emerge in the locker room. Guys like Max Crosby continue to set the standard. You can see his frustration after losses, but you also see how it fuels him. He's not the type to check out or point fingers. He's the type to get back to work, to pull others up with him. That's the kind of energy a team needs when things get tough. And the younger players seem to be following that lead. There's a hunger there, a realization that wearing the silver and black means something deeper than just showing up on Sundays. It's also impossible to ignore the way the schedule lines up from here. There's opportunity if the Raiders can just capitalize on it. Denver is wounded. The Chargers are inconsistent. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs, sure, but even they've shown cracks this season. The path isn't easy, but it's not impossible either. And if the Raiders can build momentum over the next few games, who knows? Confidence is contagious. One win turns into two. Two turns into a streak. Suddenly, the narrative changes. Suddenly, people stop calling you crazy for believing. Of course, it's not just about external circumstances. It's about what happens internally. The offense has to find rhythm. Geno Smith needs to take command and play with confidence. Having Tyler Lockett helps, but it's not just about one player. It's about chemistry across the board. It's about timing routes better, protecting the quarterback, and using play action more effectively. And Brock Bowers, now fully healthy, could be the X factor. His ability to stretch the field and create mismatches can open up everything for this offense. But that only happens if the Raiders commit to feeding him the ball and building the game plan around his strengths. Defensively, it's all about adaptation. Patrick Graham's unit has to show more variety. Mix up coverages, disguise blitzes, and force opposing quarterbacks to think twice. That's how you get turnovers. That's how you flip games. The Raiders have been too predictable on that side of the ball, and opponents have taken advantage of it. But now, with some healthier legs and new faces like Lonnie Johnson stepping back in, maybe there's a chance to reinvent that identity. And that brings us back to hope, the thing that keeps this fan base alive. You can call it blind, you can call it insane, but it's what makes Raider Nation special. Even when logic says give up, there's always that voice inside that says not yet, because we've seen flashes of greatness. We've seen this team compete with the best when they're locked in. The key is consistency. The key is translating that fire from one week to the next. When I think about the Raiders' journey, it's not just about wins and losses. It's about resilience. This is a franchise built on defiance, on refusing to bow down no matter the odds. And that spirit still lives in this team. Maybe it's buried under frustration right now, but it's there. You can see it when a player dives for that extra yard, when the defense forces a turnover late in the game, when the sideline erupts after a big play. That energy, that fight, is what separates pretenders from true competitors. And here's the thing. The Raiders don't need a miracle. They just need belief. They need a couple of things to go their way, some breaks to finally fall on their side, and that could be enough to flip this season around. Football is emotional. Momentum matters more than people think. And if this team can build just a little bit of that momentum, if they can win one of those tough games that they've been losing by a few points, the entire dynamic changes. I know fans are tired of hearing about potential. They want results. They want wins. They want to feel proud again. And honestly, they deserve it. Raider Nation has stuck through some dark times, and yet the passion never fades. That's why this next stretch of games means more than just standings. It's about restoring that connection between the team and the fan base. Because when this city believes, when that stadium roars, it changes everything. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit crazy to still have faith. Maybe it's foolish to think that this season can still be saved. But that's what makes this fan base different. We don't walk away when it gets hard. We double down. We fight harder. And as long as there's a chance, no matter how small, I'll keep believing that the Raiders can turn this thing around. Because hope might not guarantee victory, but it's what keeps the heart of Raider Nation beating week after week, year after year. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a shocking twist that has sent ripples through the NFL world, whispers are emerging that the Las Vegas Raiders have pulled off a stunning move to acquire star wide receiver Keenan Allen from the Chicago Bears. Sources close to team circles suggest that the deal is still under wraps, but the buzz around this potential blockbuster trade is impossible to ignore. Fans are buzzing on social media. Analysts are scrambling to make sense of the implications, and the NFL rumor mill is in overdrive. Keenan Allen, known for his precise route running and reliable hands, has long been a favorite target in any offense he graces. His ability to create separation, make contested catches, and consistently put up big numbers has made him one of the league's premier receivers. While the Bears have tried to build a dynamic passing attack around him, speculation now points to internal disagreements and a possible shakeup in Chicago's offensive strategy as reasons Allen could be on the move. The Raiders, meanwhile, appear to be making another high-profile statement in their pursuit of offensive dominance. Rumors suggest that the team sees Allen as a perfect complement to their existing receiving core, bringing veteran savvy to a group that has shown flashes of brilliance but struggled with consistency. If the trade goes through, it would signal a bold strategy from Las Vegas, which has not shied away from aggressive moves in recent seasons. Industry insiders are already speculating on what the trade package might involve. Could the Raiders be sending draft picks, or perhaps a combination of picks and players? How would this impact Chicago's rebuild and quarterback development? The uncertainty only fuels the fire, as every report seems to contradict the last. Even if the deal hasn't been finalized, the mere suggestion of Keenan Allen in silver and black uniforms has sparked endless debates on sports talk shows and online forums. For Raiders fans, the potential arrival of Allen is a tantalizing prospect, evoking visions of explosive plays and game-changing connections downfield. For Bears supporters, it's a nerve-wracking scenario, highlighting the fragile balance between loyalty and team strategy in the high-stakes world of professional football. As the rumor mill churns and insiders continue to drop hints, one thing is clear. The NFL landscape could be about to shift dramatically, and the Las Vegas Raiders might just have pulled off one of the most unexpected moves of the season. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.